Awesome! Let's do this.
Sunlight.
This is my review of Squaddy, a new show on Flu. So, Squaddy is a show that it follows two guys that they decide they're from Shooter's Lane, I get to in Jamaica, and they decide to join the Jamaica Constabulary Force to get themselves out of that weird, out of that bad situation and better their lives. It's a really good premise. So I'm gonna preface everything by saying I'm a filmmaker myself. I am a cinematographer, DP, whatever you want to call it. And so I kind of decided to kind of do this out of more of an academic standpoint than to criticize and say bad things about things. No. So I'm kind of doing this to, in an effort, I want to see everything in Jamaica get better, and I want to see more scripted stuff. I want to see more shows like Squaddy. I want to see more shows hit the air and people taking chances, telling narratives, creating stories and characters that people can get behind. My initial reaction to Squaddy was a little bit of disappointment. I initially had problems with the trailer, and I didn't want to judge stuff off of the trailer, so I decided to wait until the show before I kind of gave my full opinion. My main problems from the trailer were the costuming and the tone of the trailer, and also the cropping of the trailer into whatever format it was showing in. Ooh, I just ate something spicy. It's a really good concept. I like the concept. It's something that can be worked with and developed with over the seasons. There's room for conflict, all those important things that you need to have a successful TV show. But where Squaddy disappointed me and where it fell flat is purely in the execution. To start out with, I personally am a DP, so the first thing that jumped out at me was the visuals. I felt the visuals made a lot of very basic mistakes, and it's mistakes in some very technical things. The framing of the choice of 235 to me is wrong for television. You're doing something for TV. TV needs to you need to use the fullness of the medium you're doing. 235 works in the cinema because of the size of the screen. It doesn't work on television where people are watching it on, sometimes nothing larger than a 13-inch screen or an iPhone or something. So when you crop things down to 235, the image itself becomes so small that it's hard for people to actually see and get involved. And then, going to choice of lenses and all that technical stuff, but it took away from the show for me. The next thing was the way the characters were set up and framed and the way they moved in and out of each shot and stuff like that. It felt very staged. There were characters talking across line, it didn't look like they were talking to each other. These are things that you need to pay attention to. The look of the show felt very, I'd say, inconsistent. It felt very stage lighty. It felt very front lit. It looked unrealistic. And for a police show, even though it might be a comedy and it might be a lot more high key than, a more dramatic show like A Person of Interest or Law and Order or something like that, you need to pay attention to making the world that you're creating believable visually. Big problem with the costumes. One of the opening scenes had a character, and he was in a green shirt and the shirt was inside out. Now, I know there are problems with labels, but as a costumer, you need to not have the character with the shirt on the inside out. We can still see the logo, and it's not a good look. Sorry if I'm not looking at the camera all the time. I'm not used to being on this side of it. I'm usually on the other side. And some of the costumes I saw in the previews, when they get into the police uniforms and stuff, they looked very ill-fitting, beyond to the point where it's absurd to me. For something with such a serious undertone, even though it's a comedy, it has certain serious undercurrents. The very baggy, ill-fitting costumes don't work. They take me out to the characters and make it look like a slapstick comedy from the 30s or whenever. Ooh, I just ate something spicy. It's 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 spicy. Story is a big part of it. I like the core story, but nothing happened in the episode. Script, there was a lot of ad libbing, it seemed. This is a comment that somebody else said to me as well. It came across like there was a lot of ad libbing, so it came around the language, natural Jamaican patois, came across as very stilted. It was unrealistic. There was a lot of yo dog, my dog, yo dog, this dog, that dog, you know. And there was a lot of stammering and stuttering and things that drag out the conversations that didn't need to. You should be showing and you shouldn't be telling us a lot of the things you're telling us. I'm trying to remember, one character is describing why they should join the police force, and I think they did a really good job at the start of kind of establishing the violence in that confrontation that's happening, and I wish they'd spent a little more time developing that confrontation and the story behind that confrontation we saw at the beginning, and as developing the reason why they should join the police force. But the characters spent about, I think it was 5 minutes talking to each other about pension and, getting out to the ghetto, and that's why the thing. And we don't need you to say that. Don't say that to us. We should be shown that. We should be shown that the ghetto is a violent area and the characters don't want to live there and that kind of thing. And then there was this weird moment where the police talking about how they're collecting money on the road, and they said it at the start, but it had no payoff in the episode itself. And there's just this general thing through the show where the characters are making these expositional declarations about what their motives are and stuff like that they don't need to, and it sounds very something I'd expect in a high school play or something like that. I'm not going to judge the performances because I felt that because of the other problems in production, I don't feel it's fair to judge the actors' performances. I know one of the actors, and he's an incredibly talented person, and I believe that you can get good performances out of people if you give them enough of the right material and direction, no matter how inexperienced the actors. I've seen movies with actors with zero experience acting before, and it's been some of the best, most real performances that I've experienced. So I'm not going to judge them off of this episode. Conclusion. My final thoughts on it is that it's a series with a lot of potential, but they need to bring it back, and they need to take a minute and pause and sit down and think about the execution of the show. There are things that can be fixed without affecting the budget of the show. There are things that the director and the writers need to look. Writers, please tell me that there are more than one people writing. There's more than one person writing this show, because that is how the show is going to live on. You need more writers involved, more creative people. So there's a lot of minor changes that just need to be made to just carry the show up one notch, and then from there, I hope the show gains a following, gains popularity, and they just keep at it, keep bring out another show. Let's just keep it's all about risk. You have to throw 10, 15 of these at the wall before we're gonna find the one that really makes an impact. Yeah, that's it. All the best to the crew of the show, and I hope to see more. Bye.